Wilma Rudolph was born on June 23, 1940, in Clarksville, Tennessee, into a world that offered her very little chance of survival and even less opportunity for success. She was the 20th of 22 children in a poor African-American family living in the segregated American South. Her father worked as a porter and did odd jobs to support the family, while her mother worked as a maid. Resources were scarce, and life was already a daily struggle. From the moment she was born, Wilma's odds were stacked against her. She arrived prematurely, weighing just over 4 pounds. Doctors did not expect her to live long, but she survived those first fragile days, held together by her mother's care and a quiet, unshakable will that would define her entire life. Her early childhood was marked by constant illness. Her small body battled one disease after another: measles, scarlet fever, and pneumonia. Each sickness left her weaker than before. While other children ran and played freely, Wilma spent long stretches confined, watching life from the sidelines. Then came the illness that would change everything. At the age of 5, Wilma was diagnosed with polio, a disease that at the time terrified families across the country. It attacked her left leg, leaving it twisted, weakened, and unable to function properly. She lost the ability to walk normally. Doctors fitted her with a heavy metal brace that stretched from her foot to her thigh and delivered devastating news to her family. Wilma would likely never walk again. For many, that would have been the end of hope. But not for Wilma's mother. She refused to accept the limits placed on her daughter's future. She believed that with enough care, effort, and faith, Wilma could recover. Every week she took Wilma on a long journey, over 50 miles, to receive treatment at a hospital that would see Black patients. The trips were exhausting and expensive, but she never missed them. At home, Wilma's recovery became a family mission. Her siblings took turns massaging her leg daily, following the instructions given by doctors. It was painful work, slow and repetitive, but it was filled with determination. Day after day, year after year, they kept going. Wilma grew up surrounded by that effort, that belief. Even as a young child, she refused to see herself as broken. She wanted to run, to play, to live like the other children she watched from afar. Progress came slowly. There were no sudden miracles, only small, hard-earned victories. By the time she was around 9 years old, Wilma began experimenting with removing her brace for short periods. At first, she could barely stand. Her leg trembled under her weight. But she kept trying. One day, she stood without the brace and did not fall. Then she took a step. Then another. Those first steps were uncertain, uneven, and fragile, but they were hers, and they changed everything. By the age of 12, Wilma Rudolph had done what doctors once said was impossible. She was walking without assistance. Not only that, she began to run. Running was not graceful at first. It was awkward, uneven, and difficult. But to Wilma, it was freedom. Every stride was a victory over the years she had spent confined by illness. She joined her school's basketball team, hoping to prove herself. But success did not come immediately. She struggled to keep up with her teammates. She missed shots. She was often overlooked. But Wilma had learned something far more important than skill. She had learned persistence. She practiced relentlessly, staying after games, running drills over and over again. She refused to give up, no matter how far behind she seemed. Slowly, her body grew stronger, her movements became smoother, and her speed, her natural, extraordinary speed, began to reveal itself. It wasn't long before a track and field coach noticed her. He saw something in Wilma that others had missed. A rare combination of determination and raw talent. He invited her to train seriously in track. Wilma accepted. Training was not easy. It required discipline, sacrifice, and long hours of hard work. She had to travel significant distances for practice, balancing school, family responsibilities, and athletics. There were days when she was exhausted, days when her body ached, days when giving up would have been easier. But she never forgot where she started. She never forgot the brace. Every time she ran, she carried that memory with her, not as a burden, but as fuel. Her progress was rapid. The same determination that had helped her walk again now pushed her to excel in competition. She began winning races, gaining recognition, and building confidence. At just 16 years old, Wilma qualified for the 1956 Olympic Games in Melbourne, Australia. It was an extraordinary achievement, especially for someone who had once been told she would never walk. Although she did not win individual gold medals in those games, she gained invaluable experience competing on the world stage. She returned home more determined than ever. Over the next 4 years, Wilma trained harder than she ever had before. She refined her technique, strengthened her body, and sharpened her focus. She was no longer just a survivor. She was becoming a contender. In 1960, she qualified again for the Olympic Games, this time in Rome. The world did not yet know her name, but they were about to. When Wilma stepped onto the track in Rome, she carried with her not just her own dreams, but the weight of her journey. The illnesses, the brace, the years of struggle, the belief of her family. When the starting gun fired, she ran with a speed and grace that stunned spectators. She won the gold medal in the 100 meters, becoming the fastest woman in the world. Then she ran the 200 meters, another gold. Finally, she anchored the 4x100 meter relay team, securing a third gold medal. 3 gold medals in a single Olympic Games. Wilma Rudolph had not only reached the top of her sport, she had rewritten what was possible. Her victories made her an international sensation. She became a symbol of hope, resilience, and excellence. But her impact extended far beyond athletics. When she returned to her hometown of Clarksville, plans were made to celebrate her achievements. At the time, public events in the town were still segregated. Wilma refused to attend unless the celebration was integrated. Her stance forced a change. Her homecoming parade became the first integrated public event in Clarksville's history. In that moment, Wilma was not just a champion on the track, she was a force for social change. In the years that followed, she used her platform to inspire others. She became a teacher and a coach, dedicating her life to helping young people discover their potential. She spoke about perseverance, about believing in oneself, and about overcoming obstacles. She understood what it meant to be counted out, and she showed the world what it meant to rise anyway. Wilma Rudolph's journey was not defined by the medals she won, but by the barriers she broke along the way. From a premature baby who was not expected to survive, to a child who was told she would never walk, to the fastest woman in the world, her life was a testament to the power of determination and belief. She proved that limits are not always real. Sometimes they are simply challenges waiting to be overcome. Her story continues to inspire generations, reminding us that greatness is not always born. It is built, step by step, through struggle, resilience, and the courage to keep moving forward. The girl who once struggled to take a single step went on to outrun the world, and in doing so, she changed it forever.